two, one, boost ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LATB, Lat B, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
This episode of Lesbo and the Bean is brought to you by Lather & Co. That's latherandcompany.com for all your bath and body needs.
This is an exclusive for Lesbo and the Bean. Remember to type in LATB, L-A-T-B, 15 for 15% off. Any purchases over $25 will give you free shipping. U.S. domestic for now. Wait till later.
That's a really good deal for Lesbo and the Bean. So once again, that's latherandcompany.com for all your organic, cruelty-free bath and body needs. And on to the show.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Episode 187 on the mother effing book. We're getting all sorts of censored up in here. Gotta keep it PG.
187 on the motherfucking clock.
So, we had a fun weekend of fights. I felt like a lot of the Twitterverse was a little subdued. A little bit of that fatigue running in. We had a great card, but I don't know. It was a tough one over the weekend, for sure. How did you feel since we last were on air breaking down this weekend's card over there in Kansas City?
This is why I don't call myself an analyst, because I remember some parts of the fight. I feel like as we go through the card, I'm going to remember it more. There's been a lot of fight news going on, and with Masvidal Till coming up and that card, it's a lot.
UFC London is stacked.
Releasing. They finally have the Sunrise card in
Florida.
Paulo Costa fell out. Did we talk about that?
We did not talk about that. That's official. That was late breaking. Recently, Paulo Costa was switched out with Jacare Souza for that headlining bout against Yoel Romero in Fort Lauderdale at the BB&T Center on the 27th of April. Bohachina, oh my, managed to pop on that USADA test. That's what everyone's been saying.
You know what, though? F the UFC rumor mill. Because sometimes some weird shit comes out that's not very nice to say about people unless it's true yet.
I might have been Yoel Romero who also said it.
Oh. I wouldn't doubt it, but I also, for the UFC star power builder, don't put Borachita in there with Yoel Romero yet.
I kind of agree with that, but this is what we all, like everyone, that smell test, the Novinsky, whatever you can trust that mofo in, like, did they pass the smell test? No. What surprises me is Yoel's the one who's leaking this and talking about it.
Whatever Cuba has going on as far as their steroid testing is concerned, that's what the rest of the world needs to look at. They might not be going to the moon, they might not be inventing the microwave, but they got the steroids, or whatever their bloodline or their feeding or something. There is something special about the waters of Cuba.
I definitely agree with that. There's something out there in the
Bermuda Triangle. It's like Atlantean blood.
Interesting. I hear a Lat B conspiracy on the way, for sure. But Bohachina, more than likely, I mean, we all saw it coming. I'm not surprised. Who's surprised about Bohachina popping?
No one.
At all, right?
I say let him pop. If Yoel hasn't popped, let him.
Agreed.
And let's do
it, because, yeah, that is still a sexier fight than a rematch of Souza Romero.
But if Yoel's really clean and that's just his perfect, this build, and then he has to be in there with someone clean. Why not see two beasts like Souza Romero? That could be a fight of the year.
But we've already seen it. It was a decision.
Out of all the ones that could have happened, though, rematches, that isn't the worst one.
Totally agree with that. Cejudo, TJ Dillashaw officially being on the horizon.
Oh, I thought it was announced.
It hasn't been announced, but it is a part of the rumor mill. But from everything I've been hearing, it's pretty much like 90% done that everybody's on board to have that rematch actually up at 135 pounds. People saying...
Oh, for TJ's belt this time.
That I don't know, but it would make sense.
It should be up at 135. I think whatever TJ did to himself could be harmful for the rest of his career. If he always was that guy that could get clipped and get back up quick, it definitely...
Cutting weight never helps.
Sorry. You could tell that the weight did affect him. Like with the normal TJ style.
You have less liquid in your body. And we know that the brain is surrounded by liquid, and we have enough basic facts to understand what now is happening. In wrestling, it's different. People get themselves injured in collegiate wrestling or Olympic wrestling. The difference in MMA is the traumatic brain injury and how much more your brain rattles, arguably. I'm not a scientist, but to me it just lines up.
Like.
It makes sense. There's a little less juice in there, so it's more hollow.
Juice and just slapping around, slapping around in there,
and more likely to bruise because it's already weak and you're headachy when you cut weight. It's not fun.
Oh, I would hate it.
It is the worst. But in the Twitterverse, other things that have come about. Was there
Tatiana
verse
Nina?
We were talking about it a few shows ago, saying that's the fight. Apparently, we know you listen in UFC producers. I can't remember his Twitter following, but I know.
Give us a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're listening, talk to somebody. Do something about it.
They're just in living color in it and taking all our good sticks is the way I feel it goes. But maybe I'm making that up. Maybe I'm getting too deep in the Latby conspiracy. The babies! The babies! So, any other news? Suarez, Nina Asanoff, that's a dope-ass fight. We're excited. We saw that coming a mile away. Of course, you're going to be on the Queen, Tatiana Suarez.
I'm very excited about both ladies, and it's going to be kind of the same as the fight that didn't end up happening after I said it, so I don't even want to curse this fight by saying it, but I don't know how I can pick between these two people. I like them both equally. It's like Max and Tony fighting. It just doesn't seem right that I don't want it to be Nina and Tatiana. They're two of my favorite three, I think, in the division right now, and so I'm just ready to watch a good fight, and I'll give you guys a pick betting-wise, but this one's going to be a hard one to pick.
Interesting. I see it being fairly one-sided.
I know, I do too. But I also believe in American Top Team in game plan. They plan good game plans.
Great call.
They work with a lot of people with high cardio and wrestling. And not to mention her girl, that they can kind of plan for this in a little way that if she has a good... it's weird, I just said it, a Tony Ferguson ground game, and she plants her shoulders off her back and fights off her back the same way he would, and plans for that, and just locks in and fights. Doesn't try to get up. I like, Tony's one of the only guys that's like, okay, I'm down here, let's do this. And gets more points than the other guy, elbows off his back, cuts him up. I think they're a smart team. If you're listening to American Top Team, this is Florida. That's what Nina can do, I think, to win the fight. I think she can cut her up and take her. She has veteranship in it. And she has a champ. That is huge. A big, like, the champ.
They're working on them holds. They're working on all them grabs all the time, 24/7, grabbing all sorts of stuff.
But we never seen a rad-ass lady wrestler come up through. Like, rad-ass lady.
We thought it was Carla Esparza. And I followed her for a while because she was one of the most credentialed wrestlers for a while there. And now we've seen McMahon come in there, and
I think we've seen even Andrade just work on her wrestling, and now it's like she's coming in sharp.
I would say even here, the Bean has picked Nina Asanoff a few times, and it's been all about that takedown defense. I've said it's been on point, but we know Suarez has got them slick ass takedowns. Like she moves in a different way at them than a lot of the other women.
Lady Khabib.
In her own way. Mexican Lady Khabib. Any other Twitterverse fights announcements? There was a couple other ones. Was it Barcelos? Oh, and I can't want to think of his opponent right now. I want to say Joe Duffy, maybe. Barcelos versus Joe Duffy. That sounds like a heater, if I'm right on that.
Oh my gosh, there's good fights coming up next weekend.
Oh yeah, UFC London. We got a breakdown, heavy duty breakdown coming right around the corner. We just got to get into this weekend. Let everybody know what we came away with this fight over in Kansas City. It did start off at 155 pounds on ESPN Plus. How do you feel about the commercials? All of the in between ring. I do feel like they were giving us more ring talk, less Trevor Whitman, but they did have a steady stream of just going to the same commercial 15 freaking times.
Is it, if they're, instead of going to the same commercial, I don't know, I know it's all about advertisers and getting whatever. Instead of going to the same commercial, shove some commercials together in spots and do better workups. I think it would behoove the UFC to catch casual fans and make them come back if they were interested in at least one fighter every fight card. If they could turn 5 people that are watching for the first time to get them to turn it on when they're alone without their friend who watches fights. So they have to do better workups. They have to make it like The Bachelor, where they're like, you don't care about 26 blondes sitting in a room. They have to do like, this is Tiffany. She works with horses in Kansas City and her mom's blind. And then she's like, yeah, one time when I was 13, I was surfing. You know what I'm talking about? They have to do like these things. And then you're like, oh my God, I hope Tiffany wins. I have to turn in next week. Anyways, there has to be some drama.
I think they're getting there. There's a lot of different things to follow now, as far as there's I Am the Bay, Champ Life, UFC has all sorts of embeddeds. There's Contender Series. I mean, I feel like I'm up to my eyeballs. But they have
all their own shows that like hardcores are watching, so they have this like draw audience and everything. Yeah. I think that they need to bring parts of that into Fight Night to fill the holes.
That's a good call.
Not for
totally agree.
To get casuals. You have to think like a casual, and like I think it's like
here's a casual thought. Okay. What if they did the blimp that drops the folders of money or like gift cards?
But that's just the people in the room.
Oh yeah, that's cool. What if they did like a little Tony Jaa like kicking bowls in the air?
The people in the room are the hardest core.
True, good
I feel
point.
like you don't have to please the people in the room. You got to please, like maybe WME has a bunch of celebrities. They need those celebrities to do cut-ups or interviews or something with fighters.
So it's easy. There's a lot of celebrities that are starting to get into jiu-jitsu now, which immediately I feel like ties in. You know jiu-jitsu, you know MMA. Like, you know that for a fact. So who would you get? Keanu Reeves, who's a big jiu-jitsu guy. Chili Peppers, who's that guy? Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah, he's always there.
Yeah. Who else is there? I mean, obviously Joe, but
Mike Tyson.
He does jiu-jitsu?
No, but isn't he at the fights?
He's always, he's been at the fights for a long time.
Anyway, just my ideas. Just throwing them out there, UFC, that's free. That's free stuff.
Kansas City crowd, yay or nay, before we get deep into the...
I actually had to say yay, because they booed every time I disagreed with the judges, too.
I thought the crowd was educated. Yeah. Kansas City showing up.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
Yeah, good job.
Good job, Kansas City. At 155 pounds, we had Alex White coming in as a favorite over Dan Moret. Moret wanted to take this to the ground from the beginning 30 seconds of the fight. As soon as he felt any type of power from Alex White, he immediately went in for that takedown. White really just got stuck on the fence for a lot of the fight and actually was cut early in that first round right above his eyebrow. Took over in the second and third round. This was super dicey. It could have went either way. I wasn't going to be mad. But the fact that the 140 favorite had such a tough time, I'm glad it was a stay away because I didn't expose myself anywhere here.
Me either.
And
nowhere.
It was so perfect. I had a good DK night. Definitely.
I have to agree. I had a really bad pick night, you guys. I'm sorry. But I listened to every single Lat B rule. And I had a great DraftKings night. Like, I stayed away from the first fight of the night, so it was like right off the bat, I picked it and cost me anything. I'll remember the rules as we go through. Can't give it away at the top.
What did you take away from either of those fighters moving forward in Moret or Alex White?
I don't think anything yet. They're the first fight of the night, so they've worked their way up to maybe being the third fight of the night, and I don't know who to match make for him yet.
Alex White is like an 8-fight veteran in the UFC, though. Moret's a second fight. He's now 2-0, or 0-2, I mean. as a UFC fighter, losing his debut, and now to White. And
maybe then he loses a shot to somebody else coming in because he's at already the bottom of the stack here.
Unfortunately for Moret, he didn't. He didn't put in a good showing for himself in a valiant effort there. But Alex White as well, super tentative going forward. Like, he is someone with power, but people know how to beat him, and it's getting him to the ground. His takedown defense holds up, but it holds up in a stalemate where you just lose time and points, especially on those DK books.
Yep. Stay away from the first fight of the night. Good rule.
170 pounds, we had Alex Morono coming in against Zach Otto. Both of these guys, Otto actually was calling this out. I didn't hear much about it until after the fact, but this was a grudge match for Morono. Otto thought he matched up well with him. Morono looked good in there. He's usually one of those candidates of like dad, young man bod in there, and he looked trim and fit to me. He looked like he was talking about actually getting his weight and conditioning program because he was a black belt taekwondo and super elite on the ground as well. So he's really coming into his own. Morono's one of those guys. It's going to be hard to be an underdog in a lot more fights, even though he gets hit a lot. Everything I saw.
It is Zach Otto, though.
Great
It
point.
is Zach Otto, but I like everything too, and I also not because I was so high on Morono going into the fight and more just down on Zach Otto, which I played Morono on things, and he wasn't the most expensive guy, and that paid off. But the other thing that I will give him credit for is he was better than just Zach Otto not being good. He looked good too. I'll agree with you. Like, his footwork looked good. His hands looked crisp. Better it was only 3 minutes, but hey.
He beat the living crap out of Otto, though. Otto quit in there, which we've seen before somewhat. It was definitely no exposure anywhere to Otto. All over Morono in that one. Otto, I think he might retire himself. He's been in a bunch of brutal fights, and
unless he just brings like a huge hometown or something. If he's one of those guys. You know how like if you're a big band and you go and play in concert, you'll let one of the local bands be the first act before your opening act?
I feel like he's 35, 36, and what he did is he brought out that opening act to be like, I'm going to school this young kid who's a little sloppy in there, and then that young kid whooped his ass, and he's like, uh-oh, all these young kids are actually tough, way tougher fights. So, yeah, I feel like we might not see too much more of Otto in there. If so, definitely match dependent.
Yeah, never again with Otto. I think he can. So the first two guys who have L's on their record can get out of the UFC. At this point, it's too early in the night.
It was Kansas. They need people to feed other people. And Otto has a lot of tape, so they can put a good promo, and he can be a short notice guy in there for a lot of people at 70. But Morono, I'm liking everything I'm seeing from Morono. Everything. All the way around.
Do you want to match make him yet or not yet? Like, let the UFC just give him a...
I think anybody, he's that low. He's got a couple losses in there, but they're really the way higher caliber guys than most people think. So, definitely like what I'm seeing from that young man. He also changed Big Jim changes as well that I can't think of specifically where he's at. Anything left with those guys? Then we went to 135 pounds with Matt Schnell defeating Luis Smoka. Good call.
Yeah, that one helped me. But I actually split both guys on the card because
I was heavy on Smoka.
Were high on, and I always do a bean card too. And it usually gets me some money. So
Smoka was my worst click all night long, by far. But it wasn't only me. I felt like Paul Felder was just talking about how Smoka is such a great scrambler on the ground. So the submission, it wasn't just me who didn't see that. Nobody saw. Even if they got Schnell, it was a decision by boxing, maybe KO. Schnell doesn't do that submission, but that's not a Schnell I've ever seen in there. That guy is a completely turned around fighter.
You were like, what the Schnell?
I mean, we knew he was a good boxer with serviceable wrestling, but a submission game, he did that quarter. It's a power quarter wrestling wizard, but he just sunk it into a guillotine Darshish. I can't think of the exact hand positioning he had right now, but he wrenched in there tight. Almost got it. Flipped Smoka over. Was it Smoka got on top 2 or 3 times? And Schnell finally closed a triangle on Smoka. Smoka came down to punch early in that first 3 minutes of the first round. Smoka survived 2 positions and then punched down again and fell into that triangle so hard. And I was just watching it like, what's Smoka do? Ooh, okay, that's deep. Smoka's tough. Oh, he's done. And he's done.
It was weird. 1, 2, do you like Schnell at all going forward, or do you just fade Smoka hard?
I like them both going forward still. I think Schnell moved up by my expectation a lot more. If he can do that to anybody else, he's going to go a lot further. But that's what he was missing, was some of that like killer instinct that he showed in this fight. He went out there to get it done and didn't let Smoka get going. And hopefully it's not a match-dependent fight style that Schnell picked up just for Smoka, because you can do that to guys that are wily. You just beat them off with a punch. But I mean, great fight IQ in there. Schnell made every right move in there, and Smoka is not an easy opponent. Even when Smoka got out of there, I didn't think that was necessarily right. So I still like them both. I think Smoka still beats a lot of other guys in the division, and I have to keep my eye out for Schnell.
Do you want to matchmake either guy, or do we only matchmake the main card?
I think
that's
probably
that
better.
Are at least ranked?
Names, yeah. People that people know are like, okay, all right, we know where these guys are going.
All right.
Where we see a distinct one. Then we went to 265 pounds, where we had a dirty-ass split. One of the highest-priced fighters debuting for DraftKings, $9,400 for Jeff Hughes versus the humongous underdog in Maurice Green. If you listen to the Bean on air, you made a good choice. By fight day, I had let the other analysts get to my head and ended up switching to Hughes, but I still had a pretty good night overall.
And this was one of them that the crowd booed.
This was an interesting split decision, to say the least, because
1, 2, I also think that we said this fight was going to be boring and not going to be what everyone thought it was going to be, and to stay away from it because
100%.
It wasn't going to be worth the points. I didn't have this fight anywhere, and I was so glad I stayed away because I did have Hughes. This was another decision that didn't hurt me at all.
I actually switched to Hughes, but for 9-4, there's just no way I could bring myself for a debut fighter against now a veteran, technically, in Green. But what really swayed me was after the weigh-ins, Green just looked sloppy. His gut was, he just looked a lot like he hadn't been training as hard as he even was on the show when he was actively smoking on the show. So, Maurice Green is one of these guys that it depends on how he wakes up in the morning, whether he's going to put it together. Evil Twin saying, hey, he feels like Green won this. On my DraftKings, because he was so cheap, that's who I played. I played Green because I thought he had a more of a cap to finish.
How many points did he get?
Ooh, yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Was it? Oh no.
I think it was like 60. I think it was like 60.
Okay.
So,
but worth it if you
for 69. Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's so worth it to be your low guy. Low guy.
To allow me to pay up
great
for everyone
low guy.
else.
Great low guy pick.
One of those contrarian plays that did allow me to cash. I wasn't taking home first with Maurice Green in there, but he allowed me to pick so many other comfortable guys that it did make it fun in there. But this fight ended up being 2 heavyweights that I feel like Hughes really gassed, because on tape he didn't look that tired in 5-round fights, and the lights, the announcers were saying it too, he was just kind of freezing in there. Green ended up keeping it standing most of the time, using that jab, where that jab actually did the most damage than anything in the fight. But if you would have said Hughes won this fight, I wouldn't have been mad either. I don't think you could be mad either side.
I actually feel like I wasn't mad if it went either way. I'm like, that was a close-ass fight, and I don't know who I'd give it to.
Right.
So I'm actually not mad at the call. It was a right dirty split.
Totally agree. Moving forward with either one of these fighters, did you like what you saw in there or not? It's heavyweight.
They both need to work on their cardio, and then I think that'll make both of them drastically better. I think that is both their keys to making it in this game. Work on your cardio.
To me, maybe it was Green just being a monster of a man, but Hughes looked like he would be a 205er. He's just in that Ledette where it's like, you're not going to be a 205er because those guys have to be athletic, but at heavyweight, you could be a contender legitimately.
You can be fast.
Yeah, exactly. You can be a contender, a 15 getting paid with UFC fights because Hughes just looked dad bod city. I mean, a couple. We have Rothwell coming up too, and Ivanov. So this was definitely interesting one we had there. Iffy with both of these guys moving forward.
They do say too, you're so right, that under the lights, because when you're walking down, a lot of the guys will burn their adrenaline rush walking down because they're like, holy shit,
I made it.
Oh my god, I'm in the UFC. Oh my god, all these people are looking at me. I hope I don't get knocked out tonight. Please don't let me get knocked out in front of all these people. Oh, smile. Like, you know,
Totally.
That's the inner dialogue, I would imagine.
That's what Les would be thinking on the way in.
Yeah. I'm like, don't throw up.
That's more.
I hope they don't put a whole lot of grease on my eyes. I hope they don't put too much. Oh, maybe they should put a lot.
I feel like going out for a split second, because it does, I feel like it crosses your mind before you get into that cage as you go, I'm about to throw up. Fuck that. All right, let's go. And you go in and do your job. And you don't throw up. And that's my personal experience. And you get the job done. You get the fucking job done.
That's a good t-shirt. You go in, you do your job, and you don't throw up. That's what the bean.
Life lessons here at Lab B. So then we went on.
That's my real life sometimes.
145 pounds, we had Grant Dawson debuting as a huge favorite against Julian Erosa in there. Erosa, Lat B rule. If you got a freaking second job, you might not be in the UFC. You might not. It's not going to work for you. It's just sorry. And actually, Erosa said that he actually took time away from his job for this training camp. It was the first time ever, but still, he has a job to go back to. Like this with PTO. Like there's still a level that he hasn't been able to release in order to be a full-time fighter, even if it's just PTO time.
If he got paid right for this fight and he can roll over and do it again, I might like Erosa a little more.
He's not a bad fighter, right?
I actually think that Dawson was just a motherfucker. He was a badass guy. Oh my gosh. He was just like being caught in a riptide.
Yeah, agreed.
It was just like, you can keep swimming forward, but you just keep going out to sea.
For a debut fighter, we saw it in Hughes, we're saying he kind of ended up faltering under the lights. Dawson grew stronger. I thought after that first round, after some of that wrestling that Dawson did heavily in that first round, I was like, ooh, this kid's going to probably gas. Nope. He kept chugging on. I mean, they both slowed down, obviously, because they were
I was actually watching him thinking, this is... If I were a young person and I was thinking, I want to be in the UFC one day. How do I start? And where to start? What do I do? I think start with wrestling. It's just so easy to see, and it's really the regimen building. You can be in other mixed martial arts, but I don't think you have to cut weight the same. I don't think the tournaments are as restrictive. I think things with wrestling and collegiate that I've seen are insane with just building a different kind of discipline and this next level cardio where it's like, nope, third round, same as the first round. Here we go.
I saw that as well. And that's going to be a motherfucker for anybody coming up next. There wasn't people that saw Dawson and were like, oh, I want that fight next. There's people like, oh, there's other fights at 45 for me. Dawson.
That is true. You're right. He's a little sneaker. Watch him coming up the division. He's going to be a good underdog. No one's going to remember him.
Definitely. I do foresee, though, even though I like the tenacity of Dawson and his recklessness you need to have at times in there, against the submission ace in there, needs to be careful with some of those hammer fists. And we saw that with Smoka earlier in the night specifically as well. Like, it works, but Erosa does still have holes in his game. I like Erosa, but he might get his papers. I think there's 3 or 4 in a row for him he's lost now.
Maybe he would go to another organization and do really well. He didn't get a chance. His hands looked good. There was things about him that I thought looked well. It was just, it was like fighting, it wasn't Khabib, but it was that nature of just like Pressure.
You might know this because you were in the food industry there for a bit, lesbo background. Erosa is above a 5-star chef. What's that next level?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like he has a real career. He's no joke.
I feel like I've seen him on things now.
Yeah, he's legitimate. He's not
the only thing above that is once you start getting your Michelin stars.
Dude, yeah, that's exactly what it is. He's a real chef.
He's just a person that fighting for him is just like
a hobby.
Some people would jump out of a plane.
Yep.
Like he is a next level thrill seeker. He probably has like a low resting heart rate like Tom Segura, and he needs that extra level of excitement in his life to remind him he's alive, like a thrill seeker.
But that's his real career. He's not going to move away from that.
And chefs are full of crazy amounts of anger. It's so the amounts of chefs I work with. So I imagine for him, if he can take it out in his fighting, his creating would flourish. Because if you've worked with chefs on that level, I can't even...
Yeah, did that change your entire mind about it, Rosa?
I can't believe he's fighting at this level at all. I can't even believe he's here.
That's why it's just like, wow, you've done it. He's an overachiever. Not an overachiever. He's just a Julian Rosa achiever. Good for him.
But if he fights at that level or cooks at that level, he makes way more money doing that than 100%. He does fighting. So it's not about the money. He's stockpiled away money, and he's probably opened whatever restaurants he's wanted. He's done what he's wanted. He's taking some time off so he can put his head around. He's probably gotten offers for opening his own place.
100%.
And a lot of the times they want to put their head around a whole theme. And so this might be his time of creating that in his head. As weird as that sounds, then I'm like, wow, what a dream life. It became that.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're just like the top chef in the world and a fighter by night.
Yeah, but it seems like such a sweet release if you're somebody who can afford to release that way. And be that talented enough to do it in the UFC. Like, you're not at your local gym.
But his career has also been fairly spotty as well. Like, he hasn't been able to fully, which is why we can't bet on him. Is because he's got a real job.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever bet on him, but I just think, damn, good for you, dude.
Right. So
that's really living the dream.
Really, really is. And moving on to 135 pounds, we had a decision between...
But I like Dawson going forward too, but just...
Totally.
Yeah, let's move him around. I'll be on an Australian card, a Fiji card, and then he'll come up through in America again, and it'll be against somebody with a name, and everyone will be like, easy, we're going to go with Thiago Santos. And not at all, obviously, that's a far huger guy. And we'll be like, Dawson might be tricky here. Anyways. Yeah, moving on.
And 35 pounds, we had went to decision, Yana Kunitskaya, the favorite coming in against Marion Renault. This was one of those that the fans booed on, and it was because by the end of the third round, Kunitskaya's nose was up on the side of her face.
Oh, my God.
It was one of the worst noses we've seen in a bit, but, I mean, we just saw one pretty bad not long ago, but it's one of those you'll remember. Kunitskaya is, tough as nails. She did, though, when I went back and watched a bit more of that fight, because it was, got a little bit into that whiskey. Got a little bit of that whiskey Saturday night, and ended up...
Marion Renault made her Arlovsky.
Yeah, that's who it was as of late. He definitely made her Arlovsky in there. But Kunitskaya won the first 2 rounds. Renault looked good cardio-wise, though. She, in that third round, definitely won that third round solidly.
This is one I disagreed with. I thought... it could have gone up in the air because there was takedowns involved, and this was a close fight. I don't remember it so much because the nose was so broken. I could not even remember it. Like, it scarred me.
Her whole top was covered in blood, and they raised her hand and that she won. And I feel like also the fans were like, "Come on, look at the damage, guys! Like, if that's a street fight, who won that fight?" But we have the rules, the unofficial rules. So she eked out the first 2 rounds in my eyes, Kunitskaya, third round. But this is where I think with the damage that was inflicted in that third round, it could have been a 10-8 round. That could have been a draw of a fight, and I'd have been like, yep, I'm okay with that.
I wouldn't have minded either.
But
it was a good fight.
It was a good fight. I didn't put either of these ladies anywhere, and it worked out.
To the whiskey. This is the fight you remembered.
It started to feel... No, this is the one where I really started to not remember.
I know. We went to look for proper, but it was probably best that we didn't find it.
Probably. But yeah, this is where it's finally... Everything starts to be just flashes, and I'm like, oh, okay. So, and where do we go with either one of these ladies? At 41 years old, Renault... I mean, she still has fights in the UFC. She didn't not look like a 41-year-old fighter in there to me. She looked better than she ever has. But she's also one of these full-time teacher. PE teacher.
Wow.
Yeah, we've said it before on other breakdowns with her.
I know, but it's just like, wow, lady, you're doing it. I thought she looked good in there. I think she's sneaky. I think she's a sneaky underdog going forward, and she's a big enough name to still fill a card if she wants to fight. People are like, oh, Marion Renault's on the card versus blankety blue. It's the 135 division. If it was like the men's 155, I might be like, but the women's 135.
Interesting. I don't know why Renault always makes me think of this, but GDR, Darandami, the Iron Lady, recently signed an 8-fight contract.
With Bellator?
You wish. Definitely in the UFC. So.
Oh.
Interesting, right? I thought that as well. I was like, really? Didn't she just take like a 2.5-year break and quit to be a cop in the Netherlands? Because that's literally what happened.
With Bellator, an 8-fight contract.
No, with the
UFC.
With the UFC.
8-fight contract. Last time they were signing big contracts like that, like 8 fights, it was like Mark Hunt 8-fight deal. This like big fight deals, they sold the UFC.
But as you're saying, at 135, it's light. They need to keep their 135. Every 135 division for women in any organization doesn't have a lot of 35ers, let alone 45ers. So I feel like they just trying to keep them.
I wonder if they get like an 8-fight deal to keep them, but they get to renegotiate contract after 2
fights. 100%.
Okay.
Some fighters after 1 are like, time to renege. Time to renege. You hear it all the time on the Hawani show, for sure. For sure. Where do we go with Kunitskaya, the winner, with a no? She's going to need a little break.
She's better than 135. She will need a lot of break. And I'm going to say it now. I've said it about every single one of the ladies. She will never be the same every time that nose is touched. Because what they do now, they almost fuck up the fighters. When they go in and get a fucked up nose, they need to reset their nose and let it be. And let it heal and take whatever amount of time. But your nose becomes so fucking fragile that anything, and if he even grazes it, it hurts like a motherfucker. Your eyes immediately tear and you can't... it like starts to bleed quick. You break it so quick afterwards.
You remember the first time you did it.
I'm a person with a fragile nose, and I don't even want to judge it now or even question it, because I just feel like the universe will be like, here's a little reminder, and schlack. But it's something about the female fighters. I always say the first time they break their nose, they never come back from it unless they're a bitch that's come back from it. You can tell the fighters
if it's already happened. Which Kunitskaya has a long combative history. So
but like that,
I don't know.
That's like, you know what that nose is like? That Misha Tate nose that broke.
That's that Andre Arlovski nose.
Yeah, like that that Ronda Rousey nose that broke.
Now Rousey's nose wasn't that bad, but perfect segue into Rousey turning into an ultra heel in the WWE. I don't watch any WWE, and I don't even like myself. But if Ronda comes up, I pay attention. I'll retweet it.
Okay, I'm gonna go there because I really don't know. Is WrestleMania tonight?
I have no fucking idea about that one. But I know that now it's Ronda versus Lynch, the man. Becky Lynch, the man, the Irish woman.
I think it's tonight, though, is what I'm saying. I think that fight is tonight.
The wrestling match is tonight. But the fact that I'm more bringing it up is Ronda.
Wait, fans, don't turn off. Just bear with us.
Well, bear with us.
Yeah.
Is what Ronda did in MMA, she's doing in the WWE, where she's healing out, and now she broke kayfabe in this post wrestling match. Did you happen to see that going around Twitter? That's the wrestlers that refuse to say that it's fake. That's like the show. The show must go on. So when they're on that stage, the wrestlers will that they embody their persona.
For drama nerds and thespians, the fourth wall. Like, but yeah, it's the same principle, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I'm no thespian. I know nothing of it.
No, but I don't. Yeah, I've heard you say that too, but I think it's the same thing. But to say like, if we're on the stage, we pretend the audience isn't there.
Correct. And we're both on an inside joke.
Yeah.
We both have a joke and stay with it. But Ronda specifically saying, it's fake, guys. It's not real. I beat him in a real fight. Everybody knows that. And it's just like, how dare you say that when you did it, I guess she did try to avenge it against the Lioness, but that was just the way she went about it. It was just, I'm glad she left the UFC, honestly. I'm glad
You're buying
she left.
into...
She got me. She got me.
She's good enough acting.
I'm a mark, technically.
Yeah,
I marked
the
out.
same exact people that are like, Alex Jones and Joe Rogan are fighting. No. They're making bigger podcasts. They're laughing in the background at you guys tuning in to listen to them. You know, they're going to...
Get their supplements. Get your Neo Force.
On it, to get your On It InfoWars. Same thing.
Same. Silver iodine for your eyeballs. Same company. Same.
So the Ronda Rousey, I think all that is like set up. It's like wrestling is taking this new leap into a new zone with her of like, we're gonna set up real fights and real, like this. It's like her breaking that is really making some people be like, she's real. That's why I like her. I don't like the rest of this. It's all fake.
Interesting.
But Ronda is real.
She's a real bitch.
Yeah,
she's really
real.
rowdy.
All these other people are fake, but we know Ronda really fought. We know Ronda really beat people's asses. So then it's like, because of Ronda, everyone she touches will become real because they would have had to at least been in a real fight with Ronda.
So if Becky Lynch wins, is she pound for pound one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time?
That's what I'm wondering. I think the best thing for them to do is for Ronda to lose and come back with a different kind of persona. I think that is kind of the best way to change her, where she could get double the fans. If she came back as a humble Ronda and cried and did a whole fucking boo-hoo that the UFC fans never got to see, so many fans that are like, fuck Ronda, I'll never like her again, but they might be like,
this is what I actually cried. What I love about this angle is now Becky Lynch has come out and said Ronda quit on the MMA fans and she left them in the dark, so she's crossing into my world and I'm like, you go girl, you the man. You the man.
So you were a fan of Becky Lynch when you were watching it?
All of a sudden now.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Only her interview separately. Yes, her 5 minute. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm following.
Be honest.
I'm about it, girl.
And
you get her.
If any of you are out there judging us right now and you haven't watched it, you a lie. You a lie.
Totally agree.
You a lie. Your mama a lie. Your grandmama a lie.
Oh, damn. She went there. So, at 170 pounds, we had Rocco Martin coming in against Sergio Moraes. This ended up being a striking match, essentially, having Rocco Martin's wrestling work in reverse to keep it where he wanted to and really just take over in the fight and never let Moraes get into it by keeping him away from that ground game. Again, that's pretty much what we called spot on here at Lappy. We saw that was going to be that way. Rocco Martin is definitely a dark horse in the division. People are sleeping on him. Someone to be looking out for, like everything I'm seeing from Tony Martin. What'd you take away from this one?
I agree. His game even looked tighter.
Yep.
It looked better than before. And Sergio Moraes, anyone who's sleeping on him, he's still going to catch so many people going forward. And but he's almost like the division's first Maya. If you can get through him, then you can see a couple other different styles, and then we'll give you Maya. But it's almost that same style. He's like the 101 version of Maya. He's the Maya in the yard.
Definitely. Did they boo at the end of this one? It wasn't this one. It was
no,
pretty
it wasn't
solidly.
this one at all.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided as far. I think Moraes might have disputed it a bit in there, but I mean, his gas tank ultimately failed him. Martin, again, one of the key factors for moving up to 155 in the gains you see from every single fight in this fighter. I mean, he's looked better and better every fight at 170.
Yeah, you're right.
100%.
Where do we put him? Is he ready to rank or not yet?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he definitely, as you're saying, Moraes is one of those like top 15, top 20 guys. Like, you get through Moraes. Only guy who's Moraes has lost to other than now Martin Usman.
True.
Like,
true.
That's... so
Who do we give Martin
there.
to next in the 170?
Ooh, there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot. Mike Perry hasn't been in there for a bit, but it's because of his namesake that I want to put Perry in there.
But that's a great fight, because could you say who would win that right off?
I'm gonna favor Martin there just because Perry has a wrestling weakness, but in the Bean's brain, that's what just spit in my brain.
I like that fight. I think it's a good big name for a lot of casual fans and a lot of even
he takes that hype.
No one ever hears about Martin, especially in this fight. I don't think this is for us. It's enough for the hardcores. It's enough of a fight. For us to solidify how good Martin is. To go to decision with this guy and not get submitted, good for you. Good on you. You got that good defense. He throws some crisp punches.
Oh yeah.
I like everything that I see from him, and I like that fight. I think the next thing that I want to watch him against is a heavy power like Mike Perry. How can he stand up through some heavy blows like that?
Yeah, just the direct opposite of what he got now in Moraes. I
agree.
It's like
I think that's a great fight.
That is a great fight. Moraes, I still like what I saw, even though it's a loss. I think, as you're saying, he beats a lot of other guys in there. Martin, sneaky guy, sneaky moving forward. At 185 pounds, we had decided favorite coming in over Tim Bosch. Amari Akhmedov won a decided decision in there. Bosch still has that fire, but I mean, he just looks every bit of his age in there.
I agree. I should have changed this just when I saw him. I was like, no, age caught up to Bosch like overnight.
I think we see Akhmedov with an actual 20-year-old in there, and we're like, damn, Akhmedov is old as shit. It's just that Bosch looked that much older that he made Akhmedov look young in my eyes.
Yeah, he did. But Akhmedov just looks better at this weight. He looks so much better at this weight, and I'm interested. No, Bosch did not look great.
That's what I was about to say as well. Even in the win, I mean, Akhmedov was a decided favorite, but he was at the favorite level where he pretty much should have got a finish in there. And the fact that Bosch looked so bad and it was still a decision, I'm not super high. I think Akhmedov has fights to lose. Close in his next fight.
I think he's going to be a favorite, and he's going to be great to bet against.
That's what I think as well. But he'll get you into those dirty type of splits the higher he goes up. I don't see him getting completely outclassed, but I also don't see him blowing other people out of the water like people once had.
I think if he gets in there against true 185ers, he's going to get whooped up. I know Bosch is a true 185er, but he's not the Bosch of yesterday.
Exactly. He ain't the TRT Bosch by any means whatsoever. So, definitely...
TRT Bosch, that's a shirt. You know, everyone's always like TRT Vitor. TRT
or
Bosch.
TNT Vitor. TNT Vitor.
Oh.
So, did we talk about he got signed with Bellator? Was it official? Vitor? Belfort?
I don't know.
Or was it PFL? Do we care? I think it was Bellator. I'm almost positive.
One.
Was it one?
One. You told me. I think you said it.
I might have said it.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Shout it out.
Doesn't matter.
Lesbo and the Bean on Twitter and Instagram, and at Zoltanite if you want to follow that guy, and at Weakneck Baby if you want to follow me. And you can like and subscribe. And if you want to be the classiest, if you want to have tons of class, you can go to iTunes. I don't know why iTunes the most, but it really gets us in the algorithm. If you ever write a comment and rate our show on iTunes, that would really go a long way. So we're never going to ask for money. We're going to try to get that from sponsorship, but if you could do that, it would really put a little kindling on the fire.
Definitely. As we were saying in the main card, we got to match these guys up. Where do you go moving with Bosch and or Amari Akhmedov moving forward?
Card fillers.
I feel like Bosch, you can just get on out of here, my friend. I'm sorry.
You're going to get that big broom that your dad used to clean the carport with.
Exactly. Or what's that on the at the Apollo where you get the hook and you're like...
Rub the log on your way out.
But Bosch is just, it's time. Tim Bosch, it's just, I mean... You got nothing to prove, my friend. Just keep your gym going.
You're a warrior.
Yeah, he has his own gym. keep working at that. You don't need to take beatings in there from younger guys. Akhmedov, I don't like moving forward, but I'm going to match him with somebody at 185 pounds. I want to say Marvin Vettori. Feel like he's coming off of a loss.
Is Vettori a 185er?
Is he? Yeah, I believe he moved up.
I thought he was Italian a 205er.
Oh, I could be wrong on that. Or it's either Vettori or Di Chiricchio. One of those Italian guys is who I'm thinking of. Whichever one's at 85.
He doesn't even care.
Yeah, just the Italian. Because they're both wrestler okay.
And give it to him.
And give it to Akhmedov, and I think those are a close fight.
185. Yeah, I can't. Akhmedov's just one of those guys that he doesn't really excite me with anyone. So any of the names that come to my head are guys that excite me. And Akhmedov, get on out of here. No.
Oh, he's got a few fights left for sure. So, up to 155 pounds, we have Beneil Dariush coming in over Drew Dober. Decided favorite Dariush in there. Was actually pretty close on the betting lines where he should be a decided favorite, but I feel like a lot of the bettors thought what we thought, and it's Dariush, even though he looked good in that win, submission round number 1, he did look older than he's ever looked in there.
Oh my gosh. And he got rocked, and that chin looked like everything we said about it was about to happen so many times.
Why you had to stay away and you had to be tentative. Dariush should have every check mark other than the chin. And Drew Dober, who is not known as a power puncher, had Dariush in all sorts of bad spots in there. Definitely.
How many people, because Dariush was a favorite, how many people were watching that fight and how many minutes were they like, oh shit, because he looked like he was about to go out on his feet a few times.
100%.
Yeah, Drew Dober was looking like he had paws of steel. That's the kind of fight that's going to make Drew Dober think he's a power puncher.
Million percent in there.
And I had Drew Dober KO round 3, and I just felt like he almost swung away a little bit when he hurt Dariush, that maybe he lost some of his steam toward the end, but I felt like it still could have happened in round 3, and then right at the end of round 2.
It was definitely moving forward. They both have multiple fights left in the UFC. Though Dariush, I like Dariush, but I gotta see I see nothing but a fade coming forward from Dariush against anybody with a little bit of power, because they're gonna be able to just do what Hernandez did in there and just disrespect everything, because it's not about eating a shot at that point. It's just landing one on him. And
I ain't going with Dariush going forward.
yeah, it's unfortunate. It really, really sucks. But
if I had to bet on one of these guys going forward, I'd still bet on Drew Dober, even though he just lost.
I think Dober has more fights to win in here, because Dariush has also made enough of a name that he can't have easy fights going forward at 55. He's fought too good of guys to now fight a no-name guy. Dober has enough of a name.
You are so right, though. He aged like a mama.
100%.
He looks so bad.
I don't know why, but definitely some of his interviews afterwards talking about the trash talk and then the lack thereof, seeing a little Dariush get out of his shell a little bit, it was interesting, because he talked a little bit about just kind of his run and how he talks with his fists in fighting instead of everything else. I believe he's also a very educated young man. Like, he has got a good degree in some financing of sorts, but the
rocket science.
Yeah, I think it might be accounting or something like that. But either way, moving forward, gonna pretty much anyone with power fading Dariush even on the ground. He's an ace, and if he goes on that route, he still has a lot of fights to win. Super tentative Dober. I still like moving forward at 55. I'm matching Dariush at 55. Can't be one of these top guys. Did freaking Bobby Green get released? He's like on a 4-fight winning streak. Losing streak.
Losing? I know. You know what? It sucks for Bobby Green. He got some shit matches handed to him, and I still feel like that guy could beat a lot of people in the UFC, and I think it's...
Against Dariush, it would be like, because he has power and takedown defense, so all of a sudden it's like, okay. But he can get worked on the ground, so Bobby Green somehow has a freaking...
I don't even want to match either of these guys.
There it is. So at 265 pounds, we had another decision in Ivanov versus Ben Rothwell. Rothwell coming off of that 2-year suspension for the steroids. A lot of weird interviews with Rothwell coming into the fight night. Him getting almost crying.
I was thinking, who was saying all the weird stuff about?
Yeah, you saw. I'm gonna wait till after the fight. I'm gonna wait till after the fight. I'm just worried about this. And yes, I get that Rothwell is like, I've concentrated on the fight. I'm not worried about the past. But am I selfish in being like, all right, man, just say I messed up. I'm on track. I'm clean. Let's move forward. Instead of just leaving it open in the air, like whether the win or the loss matters on how you feel about how you did steroids, that doesn't factor. It's just say, hey, I made a mistake. T-City it. Because T-City said, nobody knew. I did it myself. I take the blame. And everyone's like, cool, 6 months. And nobody gives a shit about what T-City did.
It seems like we were just talking about it with Ronda. And I've noticed it with a ton of other things for fighters. We always talk about, like, this guy's a fucking dirtbag. This guy did a shitty thing in the fight and we still like him. Like, I think Cowboy Oliveira. This dirty-ass fighter, DC. We love DC. Just come.
Towelgate.
Win or lose. Towelgate, exactly. Crazy shit. Win or lose. Ronda, just come and sit down and talk to us afterwards. We just want to know. We followed you all the way here. It's like you lead us down a road, and we're not trying to look at you as a role model. We're just looking at you like a fan. Like, sit down and just give us something. And so I think for Ben Rothwell, it's not on that level at all. But, dude, if you just answer the question, it goes away. If you avoid the question, it's going to be your legacy.
Amplifies.
It's gonna be your legacy. It's gonna become the thing everyone knows you about because you just avoid the question.
Hence what we're talking about right now. Exactly. And
was this a booed decision?
This was the booed decision because Ivanov, essentially, to me, was getting picked apart much more in there. It was a really slow fight. I mean, you can't really take much away. The damage was to Ivanov. The strike percentages, I feel like, slightly outweighed for Rothwell. So the Americans definitely going with Rothwell in that. I can't be mad at it. I had Rothwell as the underdog in this fight. I don't like what I saw from either guy.
I stayed away from this fight a lot, and I think what saved my night on DraftKings is everybody tends to go for the big guys thinking they're going to knock everyone out. But if you listened, we said these were going to go to decision. So we went with Ben decision. But this could be a slow, boring fight of like two hippos rolling around in the pig muck. Up
on the fence, which I feel like was 90% of this fight pretty much. Just them going back and forth on the fence. So even I didn't like what I saw from either fighter going forward, even at 265. But I mean, with our competition being Hughes and Maurice Green, these guys got fights to win in the UFC. It's a lacking divisions. Exactly.
It's 265.
Exactly. They got multiple
And I want to
fights.
see both of the guys fight. And depending on what other 265er, I might be like, whoa, it's Big Ben versus Derek Lewis.
Agreed. Which we'll eventually get there. There'll be a couple matchups for him for sure. But
isn't that curious?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, who wins that?
True. I'm going to say Rothwell wins that. No.
See, fun.
No, that's fun.
Hey,
fun.
I just matched made. I didn't even think I was going to be like, let's walk through these two.
But it's like, well, yeah, it's true. Loser versus loser. So Ivanov essentially would get Dos Santos, which you're like, that doesn't make sense.
But it does because Dos Santos, no one wants to see him fight for a title anytime soon, and he's made it through everyone in the division.
He's a fresh matchup.
He's not John Jones. He's not Stipe Miocic. He's not any of the other guys that his name, it will never be up in those for DC.
Right.
The belt will have to change hands before he'll be in talks for that again, and it might be past his career. So I feel like if it is, this is Dos Santos' next fight.
I could actually totally see that happening, especially because they're fought around the same time. Even though he had more damage, it was superficial. It didn't look like he took too many big shots in there. But was there a moment when Ivanov rattled Rothwell in the groin there hard, and then Rothwell even gave him a little sucky in the middle of the fight there?
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess that was the namesake of the whole fight was Rothwell. And actually what we were saying with all this kayfabe stuff, before Rothwell popped 2 years ago, he broke 2 promos on his wins where he was like, haha, I'm the bad guy, and walked out. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like, that was straight up WWE. That's straight up what it is. So Is he playing into that fourth wall?
Don't you think a lot of those, that's what Conor tries to get the other guy to bite into, and he couldn't with Khabib. That's why it went so sour and went so weird and turned into this whole country versus country civil war weird thing, because Khabib was like, I don't play along, I'm Russian. Like, I don't play. But Conor was trying to get him to bite, where I think Cowboy might play along.
Yeah, I think he understands that as well now, too. Like, they make the most money when they don't like each other.
It's not just about the co-main event, main event. Why would the UFC not put fucking Conor Cowboy as the main event? It doesn't even make any sense.
The only reason is because Uncle Dana is just like, we gotta show this peeps week, like, we're still it. Like, if they keep giving in to Conor everything, especially off of a loss, like, it just doesn't make sense. But it is a new organization. But I do feel like, just to prove a point, like, hey, you want to be whatever? You don't want to fight?
And they're like, you're off a loss. Like, you're...
Yeah, like, everything's in their court. Like, he can try to say whatever, and they're like, yeah, but you lost your last fight.
And he really can't go fight anywhere without them signing off on it. Even in
They're not going to let him go.
Yeah, even in boxing, didn't they have to sign off on that?
100%. Dana White had to be 100% involved.
So they got him by the balls right now. They're like, no, you wanna play along anytime soon? And that's why I think Cowboy got pissed and he's like, sign the fucking contract, you fucking pussy. Like, he tweeted out because he got pissed.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it happened a little bit ago.
He's saying who, Cerrone's not signing it?
No, he tweeted out to Conor, sign the fucking contract, you fucking pussy.
Okay, that makes much more sense.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, he might not get that fight. It might not be. I just don't understand. Is Cowboy the steam? Is he one of the young pups that you will beat if you're Conor?
Cowboy is one of the biggest namesakes. Awesome. One of the biggest, like, he's had a huge fan base more than most people for a long time. I got Cowboy in that fight.
It's really smart. A really, really, really smart thing. This is next level marketing. Is if Budweiser, a huge ass company like that, reaches out to Bushmills and gets proper whiskey, and they have their chemists work on some garbage fucking drink that bartenders make around the country, and people that are like, you'd never be able to mix the two. You'd be surprised what they're able to do with shit. You'd be really surprised. And make something for this, specifically for this fight, like versus, and you could even have like packages at bars, posters that come out with the Proper 12 and the Budweiser on it. You know, I know they're talking about it and Cowboys doing it like, look at it's Budweiser versus this. But I think they really take it to the next level and they work in unison with each other. Instead of being Jameson versus Proper 12, like Max is getting signed on with Jameson, it would make more sense for it to be a different kind of company instead of competitive to work in
whiskey
unison.
Versus whiskey.
Yeah, it would make more sense, though, for, like, a beer, like Cowboy, and this whiskey to have nothing to do with each other. And they could really, you know...
Does it take away from the dilly-dilly Budweiser thing? Don't they have, like, a really big... But Cowboy, what's more American than Cowboy Cerrone? Like,
I know, I think it's kind of funny, and I think you could mix them both up in a bar. I could see the whole ad.
Totally.
And I think you could film the ad separate... Because of, I just have to bring it up real quick before we get into the last few fights.
Get it.
I watched Aquaman.
Oh, yeah?
The whole entire thing. If you can deal with 90% of the movie is CGI.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can accept that and just buy into that
it's
world.
It's just Momoa walking around in a green screen with barely nothing in.
That's why I'm like, damn, so much acting now. But then I was telling my wife how, like, if I was Robert Downey Jr., he can literally lay on a beach in Hawaii or lay in a tanning bed and just do his Rocket Man, like his Iron Man, like, hey, I'm flying over here now. I'm running over here now.
Over there?
Shoot, bang, bang. Like, all you ever see is his face in the suit. So it's kind of like, if you could just buy into that part of it, it's not a bad movie. And it's, for all intents and purposes, the way best Aquaman's ever been done. If you're a comic book nerd, it has to be done this way. It's fucking superpowers are untouchable.
Or cartoons. But even that doesn't do it credit.
Yes. Maybe cartoons nowadays with CGI, that might be the way to go. You might be right on that. Like, it might be in that next level universe.
What about a Lego movie?
there is
an Aquaman Lego movie, I think, coming out. I might be wrong on that.
No, but there is something what about the Spider-Man? I hear that movie's good. The Wonderful World of Spider-Man or something. And I'm not into cartoons, you know, I'm a cartoon hater. I hear that movie's really good.
I stick to the classic X-Men in the 90s, Spider-Man in the 90s, and Batman Beyond, and then Batman Gothic are the only cartoons I can really, maybe a little Cowboys and Moonbase in.
Well, apparently there is a movie out, and it's Spider-Man, and it is brand new. It's like on...
It won awards, right?
Yeah, you'd be able to stream it. Or get it on Amazon or some bullshit. Wherever you get your movies.
It's the first Latino Spider-Man from what I understand as well.
And he just is... Parts of him seem like, like they never make Spider-Man teenager enough. It's almost like an updated. Like, here's Spider-Man if he's a teenager now. So, I don't know. Apparently it's good. I haven't watched it yet, but everyone they like it.
Definitely. So, yeah. Put Momoa anywhere on TV. I'm going to sit there drooling for a couple hours.
He is a good-looking man.
He definitely is.
And Nicole Kidman is his mom in the movie.
Ooh, them alien hands. I just can't ever... Is that her?
Alien hands?
No. Who's Kidman? Who's the one... who's Keith Urban's wife?
Kidman.
Yeah, alien hands. Look at her arm. Her fingers start at her elbow. It is creepy.
You know who else has alien hands? The person I think of when you say that? Chris Rock. His fingers are like 2 times the long.
This lady, and she plays with them like this, like she's ET-ing herself. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Talking to you, Australia.
Talking to you. So, if you listen to that B, you're making money. You following the bean at Zol tonight. You had a free bet. Cash in plus 170 by the time it came through. We had it at 165.
Did we ever say it was our Leslie Smith underdog pick? Did we ever name it? But we agreed on this.
We never named it. And I don't know if we've officially... I feel like other people have brought it up as well. Is it back to our classic Leslie Smith? Are we keeping that or not?
I don't know who else it would be if it wasn't her still. And she's still fighting for the underdogs more than any other person, really. Yes,
I hate to do this, but I would have to just throw in the Bean suggestion potentially for a switch. I had the best underdog in the world, and he ended up moving on over the weekend. So, the Bandit underdog, you're never going to hear him on the show again, but he was a big part of this show. So,
that's a good pick.
Just a suggestion. We'll see what the fans think. He will be missed greatly. He inspired this all. You heard him back in the day. Definitely Bandit Jones, best underdog of all times. Nico Price, second best underdog we had all time. This guy just keeps cashing. This guy just keeps cashing money. Get it up to 170. I'll keep throwing money on it. We told you it was a bit of a fade on that Dirty Bird. Dirty Bird's just been in it for way too long. He has had battles and battles in there, but it ended up being that they were going punch for punch, and Nico Price, even though I don't necessarily like that style of fighting, on the ground, he can definitely end up holding his own. It didn't have to get there because, again, these guys were trading punch for punch, and when Dirty Bird fell, that leg broke. Dirty Bird.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see it until today.
Oh, really?
I didn't see it until today. I remember everybody saying it. You pointed it out right then. What happened to his leg?
Yeah, immediately it was like, oh, his ankle.
And you're like, he's still not up. He's still not up. He's still not up.
I vaguely remember the whiskey. This is why the whiskey was kicking in by this point. This is where I remember talking about this, but I've seen a lot more. It really starts to get hazy after that. But Nico Price, underdog for
People
life.
talk shit about it and said Nico Price was getting picked apart. I disagree, and I think if you look back, you'll also see that he was blocking a lot of those punches that it looked like he was taking, and he was taking them because it was the last few seconds of the fight. So he was just like, okay, I'll let Tim Means punch me for the next 20 seconds, and I'll just block all these. And people were like, Tim Means was picking him apart until he wasn't, and then it was like, yeah, and then it was over. Something, it all went weird. But worst looking body I've ever seen on Tim Means. It was the first time I ever seen him look flabby.
We were saying that, though, at 36 years old with a long fight career, it's a matter of time for the Dirty Bird until it just catches up with him. And I feel like he steps away after this, especially after that type of an injury. I just feel like the writing's on the wall.
It looks like it is next. It looks like it's that Anderson Silva level.
Yeah, that's 6 months, if not a year and a half. If it's ever the same again.
It was like 90 degree.
No, it was not only a break, it was a dislocation. I mean,
don't look at it.
Brutal.
All the men would say, you have to look at it.
Nico Price at 170 pounds.
Know. There might be some that are like, oh, thank you for telling me that ahead of time.
Where do we go with Nico Price at 170 pounds? Dirty Bird, on out of here, my friend.
Nico
for your
Price
own good.
is going to be a sneaky underdog still, because everyone's going to say, he was losing that fight.
As you're saying, though, the strike differential was like 1 in favor for Means, but still, Tim Means had a 7-point average strike in that fight in 1 round. Nico Price had a 6. He was still had higher strikes than a lot of other winners throughout the night.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you're saying. And it was interesting. I saw a lot of hesitation by a lot of other bettors here, and I feel here at Lat B, we didn't even think twice.
No, this is one of the people
Rock
that
solid.
It saved my night.
Yeah,
I
100%.
ran everywhere with Price, and the fact that you said it too, because another rule on Lat B, if we agree, then I'm all in. I'm like, it takes away some of my hesitation, a little, so it turns hesitation to anticipation. That's what it does. So
I like that.
I put Nico Price on every single card, which I usually is a Lat B rule to not put it, maybe on 80%. I probably went with that rule too, but I wish I put him everywhere.
Agreed. I did put him on a lot. He is because he's reckless in there, but he trusts on his chin. Oh, against heavy duty hitters, it's careful. But Nico Price, as I was saying on the tweet, he performs best as an underdog. 100% performs best he's just one of those guys.
Ooh, do you go full on and do Zaleski versus Nico Price?
Ooh.
Because then it's hard to pick.
That's a hard pick on both sides. The power though, gotta go to Zaleski.
I think that night Nico Price would be the cheapest guy on the card.
I think you're right there. But I don't think that's I would play both sides of that fight still, because Nico Price still has.
I think you're right.
Still has a shot in that fight. On to
a knockout chance, which he doesn't ever get credit for, and a submissioner's chance, which
exactly. He's definitely, but he should be the underdog in that fight. He should be for sure. Against Tim Means, it's like I just didn't see it. I did not see it. So on to 170 pounds, Elizeu Zaleski being the underdog. Even underdog against Curtis Melender, the courteous one himself. Got it done in there in the first round. It took all 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Rear naked choke. I mean, Zaleski threw 3 hard punches, watched all of the tape on Melender, realized, all I got to do is get this guy to commit. Melender committed to a hard 1-2. It was a double leg takedown hard. I mean, Melender didn't fight it one bit. Ended up getting his guard passed, getting the side control, giving up his back. Zaleski ended up getting the position. By far, on the ground, was known to be the better fighter. Again, a reason we like Zaleski in here. He can be a brawler, but he also technically, like Nico Price, has everything to be able to go as far as he wants in here. Sometimes that recklessness that Price has, I feel like Zaleski doesn't. Where it was the most intelligent thing, it's like Melender's only way to beat you here is on the feet. Took it right to the ground, finished him. This is what you want to see in a fighter. Big money. I like Zaleski moving forward. We said it before. If you follow it, you're making money.
Zaleski is one of those guys, if you don't remember him, he could be the guy that we vote on in December for being the hype train you need to look out for. He's the guy that, like, in the division, he could be wearing a belt and piss Dana right off. Like, God dang, this isn't the guy I wanted to wear a belt. He isn't flashy. He's just quietly sneaking his way up the division.
I think he's pretty flashy.
I just think everything looks so... I think he's so well-rounded. I think his personality isn't that flashy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not like a shit talker. He's not like a,
Because he does some of that capoeira stuff in there sometimes where it's like...
I think his fighting... He's amazing. Yeah. I love him. I think he's one to watch going forward in the division. And I would have had him finishing here, except I was giving Curtis a little more respect maybe than I should have.
I totally think so as well, and that's because of the odds being heavy in his favor. But we even broke it down. We're just like, look at the people Zaleski's fighting compared to the people Melender is. big difference in level here, and there is levels to this game. Melender just found that out because he was, I should have played a finish here. I got to do a decision as well. But Zaleski, definitely good guy. And Melender, against someone with half-assed shots, Melender's going to take him out of there. But Zaleski got in there deep line.
There'll be a rule with Melender. If anyone wants to stand and throw with him, he might be someone you bet on. But if anyone has any kind of wrestling game or mad jiu-jitsu, always bet against him. It's like...
yeah, I agree. There's definitely holes in his game that are exploitable. We did happen to see them over the weekend.
Maybe Price versus Melender. That would be a better fight for Nico.
That would be, but I feel like B Means is a higher profile fight than Melender is, and so is Nico at this point. I feel like
yeah, that's true.
He had hype, but he didn't live up to it. He would have lived up to it with the Zaleski fight, but it was all hype. So, moving forward, be careful, or not be careful. Zaleski's got tough fights, but they're fun fights. Must watch UFC fighter for sure.
And I didn't know, is he related to Shoeface? Holy shit.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
No, but Shoeface is in his corner, and his last name is the same as Shoeface's.
No.
It's
no,
Dos Santos. No. It's Elizu, Zaleski, Dos Santos.
It is Zaleski Dos Santos. Yeah, but I don't know.
And Shoeface was in his corner.
I'm sure they just share a name. I don't think they're related. I would have heard that.
Dos Santos fought in the main card too.
I was about to say that one too.
Are they all related?
It's a De Silva. It's a Silva.
It's like
a
being
Brazil.
Smith in America.
Exactly. 100%. 100%.
You know what? This is what I do love now about YouTube is that we don't get a lot of comments on there because our YouTube audience isn't that large yet. But it's different than our podcast audience. Our podcast audience never really responds back to us. Every once in a while they do on Twitter or whatever.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, which we appreciate it and stuff. But it makes me laugh on YouTube. If we get something wrong, they'll write it on there. They'll be like, they are related. They're second cousins on their mother's side.
Well, thanks for the clarification. We needed that. I will remember that.
Yeah, it will be an interesting thing that we bring up from now on if they are. So, yes, if we're wrong about Shoeface and Zaleski being related, please let us know because we'll have to give him a name like Sneakerface.
Oh, what about Low Top?
Low Top and Shoeface.
Shoeface
and Big Laces.
I want to be horrible. I don't mean it in a racial way, but I want to just because it's a face, Shoeface, I want to say Shovel Face.
Why would it be racial?
I've heard it. I've heard it racistly before. I don't know. I was in the Marine Corps. I'm just saying.
I thought you were going to say Pan Face.
That might have been what I was thinking. I'm thinking Shovel Face from Little Nicky. There we go. I'll stick with that one.
That's horrible. We should just move on. Here comes that hook.
Here comes that Shovel Face, Dos Santos, because if there's someone with nose who is completely flattened since they came into the UFC, Junior Dos Santos definitely is one of those fighters against Derek Lewis at 265 pounds. The main event came in swinging, and we thought it was maybe going to go into that 4th and 5th. The Bean here saying them leg kicks might add up. And Derek Lewis didn't like any bit of any of those leg kicks at all. But again, as we're saying, Derek Lewis is the same fighter day in, day out. He throws that crazy high kick and overhand right. That's it. Has good takedown defense, but can get picked apart. Was it in the first or second round? I believe it was in the middle of that first where that right did land a few times for Dos Santos, and he did eat some mega shots in there. There was times where Dos Santos got a little wild that I didn't really like, especially against that volatile of a fighter. But he did essentially just pick apart Derek Lewis, getting that spinning back to the liver where Derek Lewis almost doo-dooed all over the freaking canvas. He was hurt, but he almost landed that overhand right when he went in for the kill.
It's so weird because we tweeted something out like, do you think Dos Santos is going to knock him out, or do you think Derek Lewis will play possum until whatever? And then, holy shit, it almost, when he first came out with that huge roundhouse punch from holding his gut, did you think this motherfucker was faking it? I've said motherfucker so many times on this episode.
It's all good. It's all good. All the 18 and up fans. All the 18 and up fans. You 13-year-olds, just don't tell your parents.
Little MFer. I'm sure you're learning a lot worse on your video games.
100%. 100%. I'm sure they watching Neverland again. We're leaving Neverland.
That show's so boring. I've put it on for my wife so many times that she's like, I just can't. She just falls right asleep. Like, they're monotone voices of them talking about weird. She's like...
Went over and did what?
I know, and I watched it too many times.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm having
creepy.
nightmares. I haven't been able to sleep for a week. I think I keep hearing like, I'm talking to the man, and I'm like, what is that?
Does it change everything, all the songs, for you? Are you a take it off the radio or not?
I don't really. This is why I don't really care. Who fucking listens to the radio anymore?
Ooh, what if it comes up on your Pandora?
People just buy their own stuff. Like, I have Michael Jackson in my catalog. I've watched Woody Allen movies. I've watched
Weinstein
Productions. I grew up on The Cosby Show. I think all of it's weird. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to purchase it now.
The Seventh Heaven, you grew up on that. That dad too.
I know that dad. I never watched that show though. It was too preachy.
Oh, he was the dad.
But I have a rule about too preachy. It's almost like a Lat B rule. You show me someone too preachy, and I'll show you a weirdo.
Kid diddler.
Yeah, I'll show you something weird's going on there when someone's always trying to build a bridge to something, Christ or something.
So going with that, how do you feel about Junior Dos Santos singing "I Feel Like I Could Fly," the R. Kelly song, in his post-winning speech after defeating the Black Beast?
Did he say "I believe it"? I thought he sang "Happy Birthday."
No, that was in his literally post speech. In the back with Senko, he sang "I Believe I Can Fly"
on purpose.
I don't know. Culturally, maybe it's a great song, regardless of all the weird stuff. It's a great song.
Is he a ton older than you, or is he just
R.
a
Kelly.
little older than you? No, Dos Santos.
I think he's like 34, 35. So yeah.
So you guys grew up on Space Jam.
100%.
I was just talking about this. Another thing with my wife is how there's certain shows and things that I can't relate to because as much as a tomboy or a little lesbo that I was, I didn't get down with Space Jam as much, but my brother loved that shit. And I know, we got
Michael Jordan.
We got down on the same things like Ninja Turtles, like some things that I could get down on, 100%. But then other things I don't know why I didn't get into Space Jam, but whatever. I was more of a Dennis Rodman. Sorry. I'm all about world savers.
And I'm all about that Space Jam 1, that 2. Get that crap, get that shit out of here.
Get that hit out of here.
Get out of here. I don't want to watch that crap.
So, Dos Santos, where do we go? He can't get into the... There's no one to fight except... I think he gave him his fight. There's no one...
Well, Miocic doesn't have a fight lined up.
Ivanov.
Miocic doesn't have a fight.
Miocic is a good fight.
But it's whether he's willing to take it because he's almost refusing.
Miocic is crazy if he sits around and waits for DC. That's not the fight I'm going to take if I'm DC's management. That's not the fight I'm going to take. To me, that's the most dangerous fight with the least amount of money.
I totally agree. So I don't think it happens either. So who else alternatively would you give to him?
Ngannou.
That's the fresh matchup there. That's true. That's probably it. And that's the number one contender. Wait, is Ngannou, who did he just beat? Blades, and then he just came off of a win over...
He clipped somebody who he... Oh, Kane.
Kane. Yes, yeah, in the knee, and he split his knee open.
Yeah, but he didn't. I haven't heard anything about Kane's knee being hurt. Boom, 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 boom.
Good point.
And then the Black Beast. Anyone they throw him in there with, it'll be
Agreed.
A Derek
He's
Lewis
a namesake,
fight.
Right? But how do you feel about the Black Beast being like, I got this Lamborghini? Like they were profiling him, and it's like, damn.
I do think at heavyweight they make a ton more money, and he is a namesake now that he's getting 6 figures per fight. That might be just one fight. Like, hey, what's this girl's name? Everybody, April. I was like, everybody knows. Everybody.
Ninja Turtles.
April, if I win my next fight, can I get a Lambo?
Yeah. Yup.
Yeah.
There you go.
She's like, if I can get my ring, you better put a ring on it. I don't even know how it goes down. But...
I'm sure there was some about that. And you better stop talking about that Robert Rousey.
Yeah, Ron's fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe there's WrestleMania. Yeah, we got big fights coming up.
Huge London fight card coming up. Masvidal Till. Masvidal was one of the boys we originally back in the day, but
he was our OG Usman Shevchenko.
And Usman took his spot, and well, that's all history now. But Masvidal still has fights to win. It's crafty breakdowns. That fight card is stacked.
Another huge night.
Arnold Almighty, freaking Duffy's on that card. Tons of names. Tons and tons of names.
Yeah, I'm glad. And so we had a rough week. So all of our normal stuff, like our fight cards got in as so late. Skin of our teeth. I didn't do any of the... Normally we put out like pictures of winners or something. None of that stuff got done. So you're lucky the audio is coming to you in time. If the video... I don't think the video is going to come to you either. I think you're going to get the video. It'll be audio only on YouTube. But Wednesday, everything will be...
Well...
should be
back on track. If I've learned anything this weekend, is definitely to appreciate everything you have, because it can be gone in a second. Bandit Jones, you're the best dog I ever had, the best underdog I could ever wish for. I love you, bud. I miss ya. Lesbo the Bean!
Thanks for listening to Lat B. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.